January 31st, 2011. I'm Rim, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, Egypt versus the internet. Spoiler, the internet wins.
Let's do this.
Went skiing this weekend. I'm feeling good about skiing. Remember,
Did you fall down?
I did not fall down one goddamn time.
Did you so you stayed in the bunny slope the whole time? No, not
Actually-
even the bunny slope. You were just You were just going around the lodge in a circle.
Actually, I went for it. I went for some pretty tough runs, and
You didn't do any like evil 10 black diamonds.
I didn't do any double black diamonds.
You didn't do any 6 ninja star.
No.
You didn't do the course that's so dangerous it doesn't even have a sign next to it because they don't want you to go down there.
I saw a guy who was going off that way. I was skiing.
Really? There was no sign, so there wasn't an official course.
Here's what it is.
And
So
he just went right off the edge.
So there's one trail where there's kind of this, like, there's a fence that's like, don't go past this, and the snow is up against the fence.
All right.
And there was a guy standing at the top of that snow because the fence is so deep in this one spot that you can only see, like, 5 inches of the fence.
Oh, so the fence was such a shallow fence. If you were on top of the snow,
no,
you
the
could just
fence is like 6 feet tall. It's just there's a lot
But there was
of snow.
6 feet of snow, so you can get over the fence really easily.
So he's just standing there looking down, and there's no trail there. It's just trees and snow.
Rocks?
There's some rocks.
How
but
steep is it?
It's about like this, like a 70-degree
So
angle.
it's not ultra dangerous.
That's pretty damn dangerous.
but it's not ultra dangerous like YouTube dangerous.
Captain, you've never skied before.
Red Bull sponsored dangerous.
Usually the more dangerous slopes are not the straight down ones, they're the rocky ones.
I think free falling straight down like a few hundred feet is most dangerous. What's most dangerous than that? Especially if there's jagged rocks.
Yeah, but it's got you saying, oh, that's not dangerous.
I'm not saying it's not dangerous. I'm saying it's not as dangerous.
Yeah, it's like, nobody's as good a fighter as Kenshiro, but what does that mean?
I'm saying what that guy was doing was very dangerous. It wasn't most dangerous.
Yeah, Scott, it's the difference between 90% and 91% dangerous.
No, it's more like 80% dangerous.
That's way more
Remember,
than 80%.
skiing the bunny hill is already 50% dangerous.
Are you kidding? You can't hurt yourself on the bunny hill
You absolutely
dangerously
can.
unless it's a freak accident. You're more likely to get hurt by a car.
No, you can definitely break your brittle old man hip on the bunny slope.
If you're a brittle old man, if you're a 30-year-old, successful, normal person with a reasonable amount of body strength and dexterity,
You're going to get a ski pole right through your eye.
it's pretty hard to hurt yourself severely.
Someone's ski's going to go snap off and then go right through your neck, and that'll be the end.
Yeah, you're more likely to get hit by a car in your apartment than have that happen.
I'm not on the 3rd floor, but on the first floor. First floor, you are right, but not on the 3rd floor.
So anyway, I tried a lot of serious stuff, and the one thing I was really practicing was jumping. I did the most air I got
Did
was
they have a ski trampoline?
No.
We should invent that.
Basically, there was this like set of like 3 moguls on the way to one of the cliffs that I would ski off of. So I would jump all 3 of those, and I was going for air. I got about 4.5, 5 feet high off of a 1 foot mogul.
I can jump 4 feet in the air just standing still.
I don't know if you can.
Well, I mean, technically, right? Well, it depends how you measure it. Because, if you want to measure
I want to measure, does both of your feet get more than 4 feet off the ground?
Yeah, I could do that.
I don't know.
But the thing is, right, my head would not go 4 feet off the ground. Most of it would just be...
Yeah, Scott, my head was going 4 feet off the ground.
Oh, yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, and I was doing little baby jumps.
Because I just basically pick my legs up, and that's already 2.5 feet. So I just need to get 2 feet of push, and my head would actually only go 2 feet up. But, you see?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see you do a jump. Maybe we should do some, we got an HD camera. We could set up an event, and we
need a ruler.
Jumps.
Plus, I would use spring shoes.
You think spring shoes are going to help from a standing jump?
Yeah.
Without a bounce?
Well, I start wiggling a little bit, and then, you get
All right.
one good spring.
You can use the spring shoes.
Really?
I'll use a trampoline.
I'm going to use... you use a trampoline?
I'll use a trampoline with a double jump.
I'm going to use a trampoline with a pogo stick.
You know what? I'll just jump out of a building. Like those Russians.
It doesn't count. All right.
All right, it's Monday, so what do you got for me?
What do I have for you? I got poop on a stick. No. So, a lot of people on the internets lately. People on the internets, so reliable. Great sources of news.
Is this going to be one of those some guy on the internet says that
no, this is actually a lot of guys on the internet, but I think it was more of a meme. One guy wrote a blog post about it, so it got into other people's heads, and they believed it and whatever. But basically, they were all complaining that Google search results, as of late, are very much more spammy and full of bullshit sites that are just, content farms or
All right.
sites that scrape other sites to get high in search rankings.
Before we talk about all that, I have two kind of asides. The first one is that you goddamn kids have no idea how good you have it.
That's right.
You think those search results are bad? You think those are bad? Go back to 1997 and search for anything.
Yeah, those are, people sort of take it for granted
Type a
now.
URL into Yahoo and you will not find that website.
That's right. People take it for granted now that Google works as well as it does. They did not live through the era when you would use Alta Vista and then you'd use Web Crawler and then you'd use Dogpile, which would search every search engine all at once.
You had two choices.
Because all the search engines were so shitty that you just couldn't find fuck.
The choices were that basically Alta Vista would find 5 sites that were spammy or completely unrelated to what you were looking for. Yahoo would find 3 sites that had the information you wanted that 404'd. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
The best way to find stuff back then was still like web rings
Oh, God.
or link. Remember everyone had a links page?
Oh, God.
Yeah. The other thing I have to say is that every time I've seen someone, like an actual human, who's trying to search for something and they can't find it and they complain that they're finding spammy bullshit, I look at what they search for and they clearly just don't understand Boolean logic and don't know how to search for things.
Yeah,
They type like...
People don't know how to search for shit. It's
they need to know how to, like, what kind of food to feed their baby cat, like their kitten, and they'll search for, like, cat. Yeah, that's not going to find... They're going to find the Wikipedia article on cats.
It's like I have, just from searching, even from the days before there was Googles or Alta Vistas, right? From using like CD-ROM encyclopedias, like my searching, and using like ors and ands to find stuff in them.
There was an event when I was in middle school in the Science Olympiad, like the National Science Olympiad thing, that was basically search the goddamn internet, and they would give you a bunch of questions, and you had access to the internet, and you had to answer them.
Oh my God.
And people... Goddamn morons. This was like 1998, I think.
Yeah.
No, this was earlier than that. This was like 1995.
But anyway, I'm really good at searching, and most people are not. So I think part of I'm not denying that there are none of these bad results in Google at all, because I've definitely seen them in my time.
Yep.
But usually they come up when you search for something that there really aren't any pages that have that information.
Yep. It's like usually where I see the most problem, and I think this is where most people who have complaints are searching. They search for, in quotes, usually, well, they don't use quotes because they're stupid, a specific error message they got from something. And they find 1 million people asking the same question in 1 million forums, and no one answers it.
Yep.
And then there's like the expert sex change link, and then they eventually go there, and they can't find what they want.
Well, it's actually semi-related to the problem of people not knowing where to go to do things, right? It's like, for example, let's say it happens in our forum a lot, right? Somebody's in the Geeknights forum. They're part of our community. That's like their #1 internet community, or maybe #2 internet community, right? And they have a question about some programming something. So they come and ask it there. And it's like, all right, you know that I'm in this forum, and you know I might know the answer, but really... You probably should ask this question in Stack Overflow, where all the programmers in the world might answer it. Why are you asking it here? This is not a question for this location. People just don't know to go to the right place to type in the right thing.
Also, people don't know that you can type site:URL and then it'll only search that site.
I know. I use that every day.
Yeah. I mean, that's often how I'll search not Experts Exchange, but Server Fault or Stack Overflow, which are the real
anyone out
versions
there,
of that.
if you're not like, if you have an experience where you search Google and you don't find exactly what you want on the first try every time, you need to improve your Google skills. So I suggest you go and you read about Google search and practice Google searching and study Google search and how to use it better.
Yeah, I mean, quotes versus not quotes, making, selective statements, picking one site, excluding a term.
Oh, shit.
God,
Getting advanced.
I just remembered the old days when I would search for something. I'd be like, I wanted like pictures of Tenchi Muyo characters because I wanted to do something with that. I'd search for like pictures Tenchi Muyo minus porn, minus sex porn, minus dildo.
Here's a good example from the other day. This is a perfect example. So, curl, right? CURL, which is the library and command line program you use to do HTTP requests and look at headers and these sorts of things,
Yep.
right? So I was using that, and I wanted to add a header. So I was like, I couldn't, the man page was too big and I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I was like, how do I add, this XML header with using curl, right? And I was looking for the command line curl was what I was looking for. And all the results I got were for the PHP curl library. So I was like, I need to know this, this isn't helping me. So I kept my same search query and I put in -PHP and I pressed enter. And what I wanted was the top result. Perfect, done. Anyway. So all these people are complaining that the Google search result is not as good, and they're saying that you should use a different engine like DuckDuckGo or is very popular for some
try
reason,
one of those
or
pieces
Bing.
of shit. You're not going to find anything better.
I mean,
Bing is
the
like
thing
90% there.
The thing is, those things kind of work, right? It's like you could get by with those, but it's like, really? That's what you're going to use? Google is searching the internet so fast and crawling everything with such an army of computers that even if someone else might have a better result in a term or two, they just can't compete as a whole. There's really no way. They don't have the hardware and software resources and they're not putting that amount of power towards the problem that Google is. I mean, Google came out today with real-time audio translation of Spanish and English. Like you could talk in Spanish and it will start talking.
Me no es chocolate.
It's not chocolate, right? Anyway, so yeah, a lot of people are complaining about Google's shitty search results, and there's a guy actually at Google named Matt Cutts, who's one of the people at Google you can actually talk to. I think that's his job, is talking, and his pretty much job is search spam. And he's basically constantly working to make it better, and he did make it better, and he's making it better all the time. And people are complaining and trying to be like anti-Google. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Now, the trouble Google has is that there are a lot of content farms where if you make a bad search query or you search for something where nobody had, like there is nothing worthwhile on the internet, you're going to find the same forum post repeated on a billion bullshit ad revenue generating blogs. And Google could do better to block that out, but no other search engine doesn't have that problem.
Yeah. It's like, so I don't know.
What I would do, a very simple solution, Google had this and it kind of went away. I don't know if they ever added it back. I haven't looked too hard because I rarely have problems. For my own, because I'm logged into Google all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool if I could, have an option next to any domain and just blacklist it from my own Google searches forever.
Well, actually, they had a thing. They used to have Google Search Wiki, right? Which is where you could sort of add and remove and customize the results for a different query. They removed Google Search Wiki. That feature is gone. However, if you did Google Search Wiki while it was enabled for your account, then all those things that you did are still in your account. So it's like your settings are saved, but you can't change them.
Because remember back in the day before we had good ad blocking, I had a program that basically you'd right-click on an ad and it would pop up the full URI of the ad. And you could turn it into regular expression and it would block that
That's
forever.
basically how ad block still works. The only difference is that now your ad block also subscribes to the easy list. So you automatically get all these regular expressions that are automatically maintained by someone else.
I would like to do the same thing for Google because I have a feeling that if I eliminated about 20 or 25 not top-level domains, but like domains in .com and .org, that would eliminate 99% of the spam I ever see in Google.
Yeah, because think about a lot of those content farms are going to be a bunch of websites all hosted at the same IP address. Or they're going to be a bunch of, here's the real trick, though. There's a lot of hosts out there that specialize in like spam bad hosting. And what they do is they get a bunch of servers and they get a bunch of IP addresses that are all over the place, that are all pointing at the same thing. So it's like they can have one hosting company with so many wacky IPs all over that it's really hard to block them. So with those guys, it's just a matter of time. But the thing is, because IPv4, those guys are going to run out of IPs. The trouble comes when we get IPv6. Then what the fuck are you going to do?
Yep. Like, here's an example. Like, I just did a search for it because this is something I had to show someone at work how to do recently. You know in SSL, when you have a chain certificate, like you have the real SSL certificate and then a chain certificate that goes to the root authority.
Yep.
I had to show someone how to set that up, so I looked for a web page.
I don't even know how to set that up.
I know. It's pretty straightforward. You just concatenate them both together. Anyway.
Okay.
Firefox actually doesn't give a shit, and even if you do it wrong, Firefox will say the cert's okay. But anyway, if you just Google for SSL chain certificate, almost every single response is either, hey, want to buy an SSL certificate?
Yeah.
Or a bunch of stupid forums where people are saying, hey, I can't get my change certificate to work, and people don't give answers.
Yeah, that is a problem, is when you search for something that can have two possible actions, right? Is how do I get a change certificate to work? What is a change certificate? I want to buy a change certificate, right? So you actually, when you search for that, you literally have to type in more than just change certificate. You have to type in, I want to, where can I buy a change certificate, or change certificate prices? If you're looking to, how do I set one up? You have to go. You might even have to not use Google. You might have to go straight to Stack Overflow or Serverfault or Wikipedia to read specifically about it.
Whoa! So the top link looked like one of those spammy forum things, and the site looks like a spammy bullshit forum site. It has the right answer, so.
Did it scrape the right answer from Stack Overflow?
I think it scraped the right answer from someone.
Yeah, it's possible. That happens a lot too.
Huh, well.
But it's really hard, that's a problem that they're working on is, someone scraped something from a different site. Well, how do you know which site was the original site?
Yeah, I think what they need to do, and it'd be nice to do some sort of aggregation where if you notice the same content on a bunch of places, come up with algorithms that determine the fitness to either try to determine the source.
They already have that. They use it on Google News.
Yeah. So we have to do something similar for Google search results.
But here's the thing. Google News knows how to group news articles together when they're all about the same thing, but it doesn't know what the first source of that news was, right?
Nope.
So if there's an AP story, and the AP story gets in like 30 newspapers, which newspaper shows up on top is like the most popular one, most linked to or something. It's not the original story, which would be AP link, as opposed to Chicago something link, right? Anyway. But yeah, Google search results are just fine. It's not really a problem.
So the Golden Gate Bridge is finally, in 2012, if Quetzalcoatl doesn't fuck it all up, get all electronic toll collection.
Yes.
34 jobs. Wait, now. 34 jobs.
Do they already have an easy pass kind of thing?
I have no idea.
All right.
But they're going all electric. So get this. Going all electric means 34 jobs get eliminated.
Good. Okay.
34.
All right.
And they saved $19.2 million for the first 8 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Gasp.
And the only thing I have to say about that is, why is there anywhere in this country where I still pay a toll with money?
Because we need more jobs, not less jobs. If we actually made things efficient, like I say, they would, I always say this. I say this all the time.
That's a good argument, except for the fact that this was 34 jobs. It's not enough jobs.
No. But I mean, this is the thing that I always say, right? If you go to an economist and you say, because people were worried when computers were first invented, right? That the computers would eliminate jobs.
Scott, I'm going to do a said replace on your statement and the weaver, the loom, steam power.
Yeah, right? But people were always worried that technology would eliminate jobs. And economists would say, no, historically that hasn't happened. But the truth is, and at least I believe the truth is, that it's not the fact that technology won't eliminate jobs, it's that we don't extract the full potential of technology. And if we did, we would eliminate jobs.
I was about to say,
there
are
only 30 toll workers on that one bridge.
Not 34,
How many?
34.
There's 34 toll workers on that one bridge. In the whole country, there's thousands of toll workers.
Oh, thousands. That's not enough jobs to care.
Okay, so in every office in this country, there's people working on spreadsheets. I could eliminate all of them, at least, 5 people per office with a single MySQL computer.
So,
database.
Here is my corollary argument
that's millions.
My argument will get halfway toward refuting you, but then it's going to refute itself.
All right.
So hear me out. Every other, when the Industrial Revolution happened, what we saw was that in the very near term, many jobs were eliminated. You don't need a shit shoveler when you have an automated shit shoveling machine.
That's right.
Except when shit shovelers are still cheaper than automated shit shoveling machine maintenance.
That's true.
However, most of the jobs that the U.S. has today, it is not cheaper to hire a person, mostly because of healthcare costs and fair labor practices and things like that. So we can automate all the shit shoveling jobs like McDonald's. We could just have a fully automated McDonald's. The only reason they don't is that a minimum wage punk kid is way cheaper than the automatic burger making machine.
Yeah, but a full-time person is way more money.
But in white collar world, where you can't easily, basically automating all the jobs would save money. Like getting rid of
any job where decisions are made can't be eliminated unless you can get, if there are 2 decision makers, you can just get one person to make all those decisions.
But you could automate most of the spreadsheet ladies who are so-called office experts with a database and some PHP.
Yeah. But the thing is you need one computer guy.
So here's my argument.
And there's not enough computer guys.
During the Industrial Revolution, tons of jobs disappeared, and there were many people out of work. But the savings to the world by removing all this excess labor that needed to be done created more jobs in the long run, because it created all these kind of new jobs that couldn't exist before.
Yes.
That were supported by the industrial... Wait. You didn't let me finish. I said I'm going to refute myself.
All right.
And I think that was the case with every major technological change up until this point. I think the difference now is that the jobs that are being created by the destruction of jobs due to technology are beyond the reach of the vast majority of people.
I was going to say that exact same thing.
And unlike previous times where those people were retrained, we're not seeing that due to a combination of shitty schooling, lack of respect for technology work, lack of understanding of technology work, and the fact that technology is moving faster than government, education, politics, everything combined can react. All those things together are creating almost a Kurzweilian singularity out of which we're fucked for.
That is true. When they replaced, the factory where it was just an assembly line by hand with the conveyor belt, people were
What
retrained.
did we do?
When
Then
they
we built
replaced the horse and buggy with the car, people were retrained.
It's not just retrained. It's that once we replaced, guys weaving with factories, then we build 1 million more factories.
That's all. But now the thing is, when you get computers involved, you make less. And the people who worked in the thing the computers are replacing, you're a spreadsheet guy. You work with Excel all day. If I replace your Excel with a web app that just does all your work for you, so now what do you do now? There's nothing for you to do. You're done.
Now, this would be fine.
What are you going to do to learn programming?
This would be fine if education was somehow keeping up with technology. Where if kids in school today were learning object-oriented programming from kindergarten onward, then they would be entering the workforce ready to be the workers who take these brand new jobs that were created. We'd be fine. But instead, it's like education just falling further and further away from practical skills.
No, anyway, but I want to go back to this bridge for a second, right? So,
all right.
So the bridge, did it have Easy Pass like technology before? Or
Look, if I know.
Okay, so let's. So basically,
You expect me to be a journalist?
but anyway, the bridge is now effectively all Easy Pass
Yes.
only, right? So if you go through and you have an Easy Pass, you're good, right? But
Yeah.
what if you do? What if I'm from out of town and I don't have an Easy Pass and I drive over the bridge? What then?
I don't know. I'm actually trying to figure that out right now, and you didn't give me enough stalling time to figure it out.
Oh,
But look at New York. Right now, the way it works on the thruway, and they're doing this more and more, Jersey even especially, on the way to Wildwood, they have the just keep driving, Easy Passes gotcha lanes all over the place.
yeah, they do.
And if you do not have an Easy Pass, you've got to get off the goddamn exit and go to this one toll booth, like the last one.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, the toll booth is still there. This is what they're talking about here. I read some of it was that basically there's no cash lane at all.
Okay, they have an existing system called Fast Track that's much like Easy Pass.
All right.
And all right, now I'm gonna. All right, I did some journalism just there, and it just so happens that the way this works is if you don't have the Fast Track whatever system, they just take a picture of your license plate and mail you the bill.
All right, that's pretty good. But I got some questions about that.
All right,
What if I'm driving my friend's car through the toll?
then he owes the toll.
Oh snap!
He shouldn't have given you his car? Same thing happens if you borrow my car. I got my Easy Pass. I don't
What
get
if
to
I
take my Easy
drive
Pass out.
so fast the camera fucks up?
So apparently that's not likely. And I'm reading some follow-up articles here.
What if
The
I
argument
drive so
is-
fast it photos me twice?
So
Drive so slow.
Wait.
So slow it gets me twice.
then basically what I'm reading here is that the way it works, if it misses a couple % of people and doesn't find them, well, not find them, if it doesn't toll them, the cost savings are so much as who cares?
Okay. What if I'm in a rented car? Won't the rent-a-car place get the bill?
Yeah, and rental cars are registered, and they'll probably just pass the bill on to you
How will they know?
because they know who rented the car when they rented it.
But I don't have to pay. I've already given the car back. I don't care anymore.
Scott, Nate, have you found a rental place that'll let you rent a car without giving them either a bank account or a credit card number?
All right. All right.
Plus,
So,
most rental places now, anyway, they have an Easy Pass just in the car. They just bill you.
all right. So what if I buy a
Scott.
brand new car and it's got the paper plates on it?
It looks like you can take a picture of it. And
All
you know
right,
what? All
if I
right.
buy a brand new car and I've got dealer plates? Is the dealer going to get the bill?
Yeah, probably.
Aha.
Yeah, if you borrow a car to test drive it, then yeah, you're responsible for the tolls. So a license plate owner is responsible for the tolls.
What
You know
if-
what? I'm fine with that.
Okay, I got one more.
All right.
I saw this once. This is real. This guy who is a illegal ricer speeding kind of type of guy modified his car.
Has
all
the
to
button
hell.
that changes the O to
No,
an 8?
he's got a button that slides a cover down over the license plate, completely obscuring
Yeah,
it.
you know what? All right. 0.1% of people get away with it.
Yes.
Who
all right.
cares?
I'm gonna totally. If I lived there, I would totally get a button where I
So
push
you know what
it.
I would do?
I would push it. It would cover the license plates. I'd drive through the toll and push it again.
You know what
and
I would
open it
do
up.
if I were the programmers of the system? Any car where it can't figure out what, for whatever reason, what the license plate is to bill, it just logs it, and then after a month or so of running it, we just have humans look at all the ones it couldn't do and see what's the cause. Like maybe it can't read Delaware license plates. Maybe there's people pulling bullshit
All right,
like you.
So they see a generic, not fancy car going through the toll with obscured license
All right,
plates.
so you live in this area. This is happening on a regular basis. So,
Is it? Maybe I don't live there.
All right, then you did all this work to get away with getting out of like a $15 toll once. Good on you. Do it more than once. Eventually, they're going to just have a cop. They're like, all right, this guy comes through.
But now they've got a cop there, which means they've only saved 33 jobs.
No, because the cop's not always there. What I would do is unless I can find a clear, the people who maintain the system, unless there is a clear trend of increasing violations of people not having to pay that is adversely affecting the cost-benefit ratio, I wouldn't give a shit. If it's adversely affecting it, a cop sits there once and pulls over every goddamn guy with the machine, and then I charge you with so many felonies you couldn't even believe.
It's not felony.
Fraud.
It's not fraud.
It's illegal to drive without a valid license plate
It
displayed.
is. They can suspend my license.
They
and give
can
me a
also get
ticket.
you with, you're committing fraud by toll evasion.
I don't think that's fraud.
You
I
could
think
probably
it's
argue fraud.
I think it's toll evasion, and it's driving without license plates properly displayed.
Yep.
And whatever else.
You could conspiracy to commit
it's
toll
not
violation.
a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is because you have the device installed in your car. It'd be pretty easy
a
to get you on conspiracy.
I need a bunch of people. It would have to be like
no. Conspiracy just means conspiring to XXX.
But then I can't understand how that would be illegal. What if I conspire to do it and then don't do it? Can you still and you prove that I did that conspiring without the doing?
It depends on the
Could
law.
you then? That's bullshit.
They recently arrested a guy for buying. There was a Fark story about this. I don't know where it'll end up. He bought a whole bunch of matches, a whole bunch of fuel, and pseudoephedrine.
So he was
and they
thinking-
arrested him for conspiracy to make methamphetamines.
So he was but did he make the meth?
No.
Then how could that's bullshit.
Felony.
Bullshit.
Felony.
I call bullshit.
I call felony.
Innocent until proven guilty. He didn't do
I'm not saying
anything.
what's right or wrong. I'm saying what I would do to you,
I'll tell you what.
Mr. James Bond.
I'm thinking about making meth right now.
yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
I think they got him on some sort of having the will and the means. And a follow-up story in Fark pointed out that they found an old story saying that the same guy was arrested for making meth a couple of times in the past.
I'm not saying the guy was definitely going to make meth. There's no but.
I don't
He
know all the
didn't do it
details.
yet.
All I'm saying, Scott, is that if there's a will, there's a way to get a felony conviction.
What if I go to the store and I buy a bunch
Scott,
of
you sound
growing
like the old men
lamps?
who are like, oh, you want to implement this fancy technology? Yeah. Well, what if I'm an old man and I can't figure it out? Where's your technology now?
No, this isn't what if I'm an old man and I'm figure out. This is what if I'm a young man and your technology doesn't
Yeah, Scott,
work on
phone
me.
freakers. They got away with shit for a while.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be toll freakers.
Yeah. A much better strategy is to have a license plate that turns the O into an 8.
Oh, I got a better idea. We hack the system to where it takes a picture, but you actually you actually just put in the database a picture of like a penis.
Goat see.
Yeah, something like
The
that.
cockboat license plate.
Exactly.
Things of the day. So if you like Axe Cop
Who
or
doesn't?
Dr. McNinja,
Who doesn't?
you will like the other of both of those.
Who doesn't?
And if you like Fast Karate for the Gentleman, you'll probably like both of them as well. There's this kind of, if the title of any of those three things sounds like a thing you would like, you will like all three of those things.
That's right.
So my thing of the day is that Axe Cop, which is a wonderful comic about a cop who finds an axe and becomes Axe Cop. Someone made a short fan film. It's more of a kind of a trailer for what would be the Axe Cop movie. The guy they got looks exactly like Axe Cop.
He's a little smaller though, but otherwise he looks exactly
well,
like
of course
Axe
he's
Cop.
smaller. Axe Cop is like 40 feet tall and made of radiation.
That's right.
It's pretty damn good and pretty high production value.
No, except for Dinosaur Cop's mask.
Actually, I'm going to email these guys and be like, what HD camera do you use? Should I just buy that one? 'Cause I don't know.
Yeah.
You people in the forum, I've been looking for an HD camera, but anyway, that's inside.
All right. It's been a while since we've used a hockey fight as a thing of
Oh
the day.
man, remember Hockey Fight Week?
So here on January 26th, which was just a few days ago, Zach Stortini and Chris Barch of the Dallas Stars and Edmonton Oilers got into a big fight down in Dallas.
Now, my favorite part, until I noticed the part that's Scott's real thing of the day, was that basically they turn to each other, and then as soon as they start to fight, there is an explosion of gloves.
I love that.
Like just bam in all directions.
That's the greatest. Anyway, so there's a glove explosion, a good old hockey fight, and quite a good, very, very good hockey fight. You know,
Yeah.
they keep going at it. They're getting real tired.
The guy in the black jersey is clearly winning this thing.
Yeah, but anyway, the thing is about this fight is there's some music playing, right? Do,
Do, do, do, do, do, do.
And if you're a nerd, you will know exactly what music this is.
It is, in fact, the NSMB theme song.
Yes. Anyway.
That's some inside baseball for you.
Yeah. So you're listening to this song going on. But what's really interesting is that at first I thought this music was being added after the fact by YouTube, right? Because you watch anything on YouTube and there's always music, overlaid. This music, I guarantee you, I know for a fact, is being played in the arena.
Somewhere there's an intern
In Dallas.
in Dallas who had that MP3 just waiting and waiting and waiting for a fight that was long enough and worthy enough of it. And he hit play on that thing and he sat there, arms crossed. That was probably the highlight of his year.
And every nerd in the Dallas hockey arena watching a Stars fan was like, oh, fuck yes.
Actually, this is a self-serving thing of the day. I gotta find the old audio, but remember at RIT when I made that clip from the Beavis and Butthead movie and I gave it to the corner crew guy?
Yep.
And then they played it during the shutout game?
Yep.
That was my crowning glory at
Never gonna
RIT.
score. Never gonna score.
Never gonna score.
Never gonna score.
The only thing we never got him to play was the Tiger Tiger song.
That's all right.
So, yeah. So before we get into it, the meta moment, the book club book is Michio Kaku's Hyperspace, which I'm 90% through it, and
10%.
I can say one thing. Hyperspace, I
Because I've been
picked it
playing DS games, not
because I
because
hadn't read it since I was a little kid. It talks about the fourth dimension. It's kind of like Carl Sagan, Yay Science, but it's all about multidimensional string theory, quantum mechanics, all
The only
that
thing
stuff.
I want to know is like this book is it's not old, but it's it's years old, which
Yeah.
means how is this still mostly what theoretical physicists think, or is there new things that say
So,
it's no right anymore?
I was looking online, and a lot of it is still pretty solid.
All right.
A lot of it. But anyway, we'll talk about it when we talk about it.
I would like for someone, Timo, someone who is a physicist, to tell us which parts are not solid.
Thing is, a lot of it is
anymore.
history. Like, after a while, it's like, all right, so you're with us on this, Einstein stuff. All right, what about quantum mechanics? That's just a big, fat middle finger to Einstein. What now? What now? Doesn't this go against everything we're talking about? So
All right.
the book goes in a lot of good directions, but I mention it only because I made it my book club book, and now having read it again, it is scary how much that book influenced my young science interest.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everything I cared about as a kid came from hyperspace.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Also, in meta news, PAX East is very soon.
We are doing not one, not two, not three, but 5 panels.
Only 3 of them are combined into one, so it's
Yes.
really 3.
We are doing game mechanics and mechanism design again due to popular
Do we
demand.
really need to list them all?
We'll list them all later. We'll list them on Tuesday.
You
when
should
people
go
care.
to PAX East, but the week following PAX East is Zenkai-Con in Pennsylvania somewhere.
It's a growing anime con. We'll be there doing a whole bunch of stuff.
It's sort of the Katsucon replacement for us.
Yep. Also, that the weekend coming up, 2 weekends from now, February 10th or February 11th on Friday is a Nerd NYC board game night. We will be there
All right.
playing board games. Usually,
Yep.
we have a lot of listeners showing up. It's turning into more and more of a Geeknights meetup. So if you,
Yeah, it's like every week there's like one listener there. It's like, whoa, weird.
yeah, it's always a different listener too.
Yeah.
And so if you want to meet us and you live in the greater New York City area and you come to Think Coffee on Fridays when there are Nerd NYC board game nights, we are there playing board games, and you
Yep.
can totally play a board game with us
All right.
unless you smell.
Yeah. Also, we have a website, frontrecruiter.com. Go to it. We have an email address, geeknights@frontrecruiter.com. Email us. We have Twitter, Geeknights.
We have a forum that has a sort of forum explosion going on yet again.
Right, and also the people in the forum have made their own unofficial Geeknights IRC channel, which is on Freenode.
It is unsanctioned,
so
but I give it my thumbs up, wink, and nod.
Yeah, because people are always like, Scott, we need why don't you make a Geeknights wiki? I'm like, why don't you make a Geeknights wiki? So they're like, Scott, we want a Geeknights chat room. I'm like, why don't you make a Geeknights chat room? So they finally did.
I mean, I made the Geeknights Counter-Strike server, but
why do I have to make everything?
The server powered itself off and won't power back on.
I won't say it's official, but I mean, it does. So this is not an official chat room, but it's a Geeknights chat room.
Yeah.
If
Plus,
you want to chat.
If one of you listeners makes a Geeknights thing that is super popular, and we decide to make the for real thing, obviously you will be the moderator and administrator of it if you want.
Yeah, because the main reason I don't want to make an official thing is because that means I got to take care of it. But if it's unofficial, I don't got to do shit.
Because like I said, the Geeknights Counter-Strike server powered off like a couple weeks ago and won't boot, and I got to figure out what's wrong with it. I think the power supply died.
But yeah, feel free to make as many unofficial Geeknights things or Front Row Crew things as you want, as long as they're unofficial. I don't really care.
Well, they by nature could not be official unless we officialized them.
I mean, that's what every community on the internet does, right? If you go to, say, Something Awful forums, there's a Something Awful Minecraft server, I'm sure, but that's not run by Something Awful. It's just by people in the community make the Something Awful, community Minecraft servers. That's how it works.
Do note, however, that we retain all trademark rights to Geeknights and Front Row Crew.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, if you get big enough, we're going to make you sign a licensing agreement.
Yeah, I don't think we can sue an IRC channel for using #Geeknights as its channel name.
No, but I got to cover my bases because I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to deal with that bullshit.
At the worst case scenario, we could write the Freenode an email and then they would make us the op of the channel instead of them.
So, Egypt. We're not going to talk about Egypt just yet. I have a feeling once this has resolved itself somewhat, we will do a Thursday show on Egypt because I have a lot to say.
You want to do that? All right.
I've been following this pretty much continuously. I'm very interested in the outcome. I'm with those kids. But independently, one very specific issue came up that resonated throughout geekly circles because a very similar issue, at least on the surface, has been making the rounds in America among nerds, and people are afraid of it. So remember when Obama and the administration and the government kept saying, we need a quote, internet kill switch.
Well, they still want one.
Yeah, they want one pretty badly. And there's debate as to what internet kill switch means. But we have seen what an internet kill switch could be in Egypt. Because Egypt, for those of you who don't know, this is a largely popular movement that kind of came out of social media and hit the real world because the youth are not stupid. And, they can communicate and say, we're done with this bullshit. Let's get together.
Yeah, every time I look at footage of any Egyptian protests or anything,
there are more cell phones.
Everyone's got Blackberries and cell phones, taking pictures of everything, uploading the videos to YouTube. Everybody's all over that shit, tweeting, Facebook, and everything, right? Now, granted, there's a lot of fake Facebook in it, but there's a lot of real.
So, Egypt basically couldn't deal with these protests, and shortly after all this began, they shut down everything. They Madagascar'd the internet. They literally turned off telecommunications in almost the entire nation of Egypt.
But here's the thing: is not only did they turn off the internets, but they turned
we're talking
it off.
Phones.
They turned it off in a really clever way. Like they managed to turn it off. Like there apparently I was reading there are some other countries that route their traffic through Egypt. They're still routing to them. Like, this was something, had smart Cisco people do this, right? Maybe they paid Cisco themselves to do it because Cisco has no problems doing that kind of shit.
If you're interested in that, pay attention to Anonymous because at least one group claiming to be anonymous, which means they are effectively anonymous, is trying to piece together all the technology that they used to then scream far and wide at the companies who allowed this bullshit to take place.
Cisco does the bullshit in China mostly, so it's probably them. But basically they were modifying routing tables and this sorts of stuff. They weren't just some other country would probably just go and cut all the cables, and that would be that, right? But
think about this. This is kind of an aside, but Egypt, the government, that was probably the worst miscalculation they could ever have made because they saw that social media was really driving this, and they turned off the internet. And then that actually made the protests bigger, not smaller.
This is the one mistake that I always keep pointing out is like all these countries are so stupid. They take the 1984 approach. And the problem with the 1984 approach is that it is obvious. Everyone can see it. It's like, you look at like pictures of like Al Jazeera versus Egyptian state television, where it shows like no one protesting and just cops standing at an empty street, and it's like, yeah, Captain Obvious, we see what you did there, right? You're not fooling anybody. If you want to
However, in
fool
the old
everyone,
world,
you have to do the U.S. trick, which is have all the free speech you want. Ha 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 ha. It doesn't matter. You don't actually doesn't amount to anything.
But think about this from a more direct level. So there's a large, angry, growing movement demanding the downfall of the government and democracy and all this stuff. So they turn off the biggest circus in the world to a nation that already doesn't have enough bread.
No bread, no circuses. All right, we're going to even less circuses. No, that was stupid. You got to add, if you added bread or circuses, that would make them.
When you turn off phones and the internet, even grandma's getting pissed now.
That's right. There was another country I read that like gave money to everybody. I don't know. I forget what it was. I don't know. It might have not been true, but I read something about some country giving money to everybody because, or something like that to appease them.
Are you
sure? It was something in Kuwait. Let me look it up. You keep talking.
Are you sure it was something? Are you sure it wasn't nothing?
Hold on. I'm looking it up. You talk.
All right. So they tried to shut down the whole internet and they succeeded. And it had no effect on the protests effectively. But at the same time, that is a really, I don't believe that the U.S. government should have any ability to dictate any sort of internet thing like that. The government should have no way to shut down our internet because I cannot imagine any possible way that could protect us more than individual entities working to protect their own networks in the event of some sort of scary so-called cyber attack.
I can't actually find an actual news article about this Kuwait thing, so it was probably just a tweet or something. Oh, no, wait. Kuwait? Oh, no, never mind.
Regardless.
It's probably bullshit. But yeah, if you want people to stop protesting, you have to be nice to them. You can't be obviously mean to them. They're just going to make them angrier. And it definitely, that's what happened. I could have told you that.
The other thing, I have a more kind of wide aspect of this, kind of a wider view, because...
Well, I want to talk about technology. It's like, what do you do when they cut off the internet?
Well, I was thinking about this from Egypt. What did they do? They already had critical mass, so the mass just coordinated itself with the good old-fashioned means of posters and flyers and sneakernet and walking around and shouting from the rooftops.
Yeah, megaphones, right? But, that doesn't replace internet.
Well, in an urban culture... It can. For this. If you've gotten to the point of going out into the streets and not leaving, then you don't need the internet anymore. Especially if you're having multiple simultaneous demonstrations.
Plus, anything that you're going to record is going to be recorded and you can put it on the internet later.
And you can't stop satellites. Someone's going to get the signal out. Because look, they cut off the internet. We still know what's going on. The rest of the world knows. You can't hide this shit.
Satellite dishes can't be beat.
Ham radio.
Ham radio can't be beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, look, even in, for example, North Korea, right? Geography. So you go to the border near China and you can pick up a cell tower. There's actually cell towers there on purpose.
Look at what happened in Cuba. There's a black market in USB sticks with copies of Wikipedia on them. Yeah. I think I made that a thing of the day a long time ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, USB Underground. And in North Korea, there's supposedly a USB Underground of South Korean pop dramas.
Plus, you look at my thing of the day from last Thursday, right? The Pirate Box, which we're going to be making use of very soon in a big way.
Oh my God, I'm excited about my Pirate Box.
Yeah, you set some of those up and suddenly you've got a wireless Egyptian intranet. And then as soon as there's internet again, you just get those pirate boxes on the internet.
And even then,
I'll snap.
The pirate box is just the first salvo and what will eventually be the thing that I talk about all the time. What if we could make, for the same money that we're making this pirate box now, a pirate box that also has the option of just finding other pirate boxes and making a mesh communications network?
Well, I mean, this already is sort of small mesh networking, right?
Well, here's the thing.
And there's sort of like this ham radio packet routing that you can do if you buy this device.
All that stuff is slow as shit. However, in a situation like this, getting video out and getting, video around and the kind of internet stuff we do, as important as that is, what's actually important to a movement or a resistance is text. And we can send a lot of text with very low bandwidth.
The other thing we can do, right,
and very simple ad hoc wireless networking mechanisms.
There have been plenty of instances of nerds setting up their own GSM network. So we could easily get all the AT&T and T-Mobile phones at least, texting each other for free on some sort of, nerd network of kinds.
Yeah.
And
but
the other thing is, right, if you're talking about a situation where they've turned off the internet, right, this is likely there is a lot less, is a lawless situation, or much less law.
forget all that. America, it's pretty easy to get around this in the long run.
Yeah,
Imagine if the internet got shut down. Like right now, like we're sitting here and suddenly there's no internet at all. And like my cell phone doesn't get any internet, anything. So I call some of my friends and I can't get through to anyone. After about a day of that, and me, using SneakerNet to find out that nobody has internet, like when we had the Northeast power outage, and I found out through hook and crook that nobody had power. Once I figure out that is due to the government, I am in the streets.
No, but what I'm saying here is that, the main thing that keeps us from having our own internet right now that is not controlled by any government or company, right, is the FCC. Which regulates and controls which frequencies we can broadcast on.
But if we're
in a lawless situation, that shit don't matter. So up go big ass antennas. Go to the grocery store, empty out the food cans, make the cantennas.
That's why what I would advocate is that nerds should make one of the RFC.
Every nerd should make big antennas that are illegal now and just test them out. Make sure you don't get busted, and then put them in the closet. And then if shit ever happens, bust out your antenna.
Now, the good nerds need to get together and make RFCs and come up with protocols and means that basically, assuming Mad Max, or at least assuming internet Mad Max, how quickly can the nerds make radio-free world?
Here's how you do it.
Radio-free Earth.
Here's how you do it. Ready? You take the DDWRT firmware, you add, mesh network end of the world mode to it. And, you basically pop the antennas off your router, attach your cantennas, or whatever other badass antenna you're going to make.
That's a pretty gross oversimplification. You need something more robust, because if you use fairly commodity stuff like that, it'd be pretty trivial for a government that was pissed off enough to just block everything. At least block you. What you need
Obviously,
to do,
we can make more advanced stuff too, but you need to have something that any nerd can do
That's
easily.
what I'm saying. Nerds need to write a protocol and come up with an open standard that would be totally illegal to actually use, but would work. Some sort of spread spectrum, high-powered, we don't give a shit about what else we screw up radio system that, if it's running, is basically mutually assured destruction. For the government to jam it, they would have to jam everything, including themselves.
Including the numbers stations?
The number stations. Nerds should make some number stations, but that's a separate
I'm pretty
thing.
sure nerds do make the number stations.
One.
Great.
One. But let's zoom out a little bit, because we could get into the specific tech, and that would almost be a separate show of, very specifically how would we route around. But the wider issue is that look what's happening in the Middle East. These isolated protests spread throughout numerous countries, and the only common theme is that they're people who want liberalized political systems. Even if they do not want liberalism, they don't necessarily want to have this kind of open, free Western society, but they want political freedom. And that's this kind of core meme that spread in a way that could never spread before. Social media, I think, caused all of this. The same level of dissidence would not cause this in many nations simultaneously a long time ago.
Well, I think what it is that, I have the feeling, anyone in America, no matter which side they're on, right? All of us, whether you're right or left or up or down or sideways, everyone's dissatisfied about something, and the dissatisfaction always outweighs the satisfaction, because people tend to take for granted the things they're satisfied about, right? But the things they're dissatisfied about, if the only problem we had in the entire United States was that DMV had long lines, people would just be like on Fox News or whatever news station, they would be like, the long line at the DMV, there'd be reporters there with cameras, everything else in the country is perfect.
Or at Maslow's pyramid, if the thing, if there is a thing that's broken, that's low enough level to where everybody, no matter how much they hate each other, all agree. I mean, look, Islamic extremists and liberal secular youths all agree that the current regime has to go.
Right, but the thing is, people are generally always pissed off at government no matter how perfect the government is, right? There's no way, no one likes any government no matter what the government is. Find me a place, time in history, country, where people were going, yay, our government is so great, we love living here, this is wonderful, there's no problem, I don't hate any politicians or presidents, I want to vote for all of them over again and again, everything is great. Never happened, never will happen.
What are you talking about? In Cuba, I mean, it's like 90%. There's landslide elections.
Yeah, so in Egypt too.
Yeah, everyone's happy.
Same kind. Anyway, So the fact is that if that's the case, if people are always dissatisfied, people would always be in revolution, right? Because everyone's pissed off, so they would have a revolution. And then as soon as they're pissed off again, which wouldn't be that long, revolution again, right? Why doesn't that happen? It's because people aren't angry enough, degree of anger.
Got to get mad.
And also, how much do you believe that the revolution will work and it's worth your effort, right? Which a lot of that has to do with unemployment also.
Yeah, well,
if you don't have to go to work, then you can be in a revolution. If you have a job, you're not going to revolt.
This dovetails back in what I was saying. Because look, Tunisia had its rising up, and it was relatively successful. And discontents in neighboring nations basically were like, we can do that too. We might win.
So what the thing is that people did not believe that a revolution would work, but as you get the power of technology, right, coming in, the power of the people is enhanced. You need an arm.
Of course.
People were not armed.
Note that China is blocking the ever-living shit out of any news about Egypt or Tunisia right now.
That's true, right? That's with good reason. For at least if you're, want China to stay the way it is, right? If you suddenly gave a whole country of angry people guns, they would suddenly have a revolution, because now it's like, we can take on the army. We all got guns.
On the Daily Show, there was this graphic. Jon Stewart was talking about the Egyptian thing when it first started. He was like, blah, 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 the nation of Egypt, which sits on top of, and he puts up this graphic, the world's largest untapped reserve of Islamist rage. And he had this graphic of like sand, bedrock, oil, Islamist rage, and it was just this pissed off looking guy.
That's right. So anyway, instead of giving these people guns, we gave them all cell phones and internets, which is almost as powerful a weapon as guns, especially since it looks like the guns that are there, the army isn't shooting them, so they don't need guns.
Well, think about this.
So they got all the
Egypt
weapons.
has a very different situation from Iran.
Since it's not a violent conflict, they don't need weapons. The cell phone is the most powerful weapon they have. So taking away the internet was basically the equivalent of gun control here.
Well, part of it was
because that's what made the people powerful enough for them to believe that their revolution would work, was seeing that it worked elsewhere and seeing that they could do the same thing.
Of course, part of the difference here was that, like in Iran with the attempted Green Revolution, they could basically get people from the rural areas, band them together, and just drive them in to quash it. But in Egypt, the military is much more modern, and the people in the military are much more similar to the people who are protesting.
That's another thing, is the Egyptian military is not made up. It's like the people in the military are also people.
It's like America. Imagine if the U.S., New York City's in riots, like we're in the streets.
The people in the military are New Yorkers. They're not going to shoot other New Yorkers.
The military comes out against the New Yorkers who are mad because there's no internet, and those people, they're from Wyoming, and they also don't have internet.
They're also, they're us. They're not like this other group of people that's, usually when you have militaries going against the people, it's because you have a military class that is sort of above the regular people. They got better privileges. They don't, they're not like the other people. So the military people are happy and well-fed and well-paid, while the regular people are in the shitter. That's when you get militaries that are being all bad. Say, Khmer Rouge kind of situation, right?
That's why I'm excited about this whole technology, like the way the technology assisted this, because Egypt's reaction is very much kind of their admission that this kind of regime is fucked worldwide in the long run. Because you can't stop nerds.
Nope.
Unless you stop them all.
And see, the thing is, it's happening now.
If there was no outside world for them to get the signal out to, it might have petered out.
It's happening now in the places where there is less stability, like Tunisia,
but
or
not total control of the government,
or more anger, right? Like Egypt, right?
Yep.
So as time goes on, right, the bar is only going to get lower. So places that are only kind of angry are going to be like, oh, we're kind of angry, but we can let's do it. And it's only a matter of time before, maybe in our lifetimes would the U.S.
I think what this means,
will go below the threshold.
My take on it is more that throughout the Arab world, I'm starting to believe that there is in many places a silent majority that even if they're not necessarily liberal or have any of our Western ideals and freedoms and maybe not want those things fully, they definitely want more political freedom and are generally dissatisfied with the brutal regimes that are on top of them. I imagine
anyone
there are
who's in a brutal regime is probably dissatisfied.
I imagine there are a lot of people who are kind of in public, yay, Sharia law, and privately like, man, fuck this.
Yeah, like you think, Saudi Arabia, it's like, you really think all those people love being ruled by a bunch of princes? Really?
Yeah. And look at Egypt. I mean, look at the stereotype of Egyptians who come over here in the clubs hanging out. Look at Egyptian nightclubs in Egypt. Those kids don't want to live under Sharia law.
Hell no.
But I feel like there's this kind of silent or frightened majority in much of the Arab world that technology bit by bit is going to show those people, you know what? You don't have to put up for this bullshit. Look, in all those other countries, those people stop putting up for the bullshit. And Iran has the interesting situation that there's this huge gap in generations because of the Iran-Iraq war and all the people who died. Very rapidly, all the people in power with the very conservative values are going to die of old age or become too old to maintain power. And then there's going to be a huge gap and then a very large, angry youth.
Yeah, look at we're waiting for the old people to die so we can use computers, right?
But we have a long spectrum of old people.
They're waiting for the old people to die because the old people are too religious.
And even when they're religious, well, we'll see. I think we've gone on long enough, but I don't know. The moral of this is you can't stop the signal, and the pirate box is the first step toward liberating the world.
Yeah, we need to start working on, some sort of antenna system that totally breaks all kinds of laws in the FCC, but
we don't actually implement.
Yeah, we don't use it until the time is right. So when the time is right, everyone puts their antennas up to make the separate internet.
Or we make the pirate boxes that do that make the mesh network, and then we do a Michael Moore thing. Remember when Michael Moore airdropped all those TVs over Afghanistan?
No.
It was a long time ago. It was a publicity stunt. But imagine a day when, Iran, the youth rise up again, and we the Western nations start mass producing just nerds. Every 5 nerds get together and make one mesh pirate box and just kind of ship it over and try to get it smuggled into Iran. And then eventually the nerds of Iran have their own network.
Yeah, see, the thing is, if we tried to mail these things to, say, Egypt, right?
No, you mail plans and parts in streams that they can't cut off without cutting off their entire economy.
But the thing is, if you tried to mail something to Egypt now, it's not getting there.
No, not
Too
now.
Too late.
So you start smuggling these things into places like North Korea over time.
North Korea's already had plenty of smuggled in.
Yep.
Those people are watching South Korean dramas on VHS. And
yeah, they just arrested a lot of people for it, sadly.
Yeah. Anyway.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.